Hello, Randy. How are you?
I am great, Nisam. I think I said that right. It's so
Yes,
fun to be
yes,
talking with you.
yeah. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so friends, we have Randy Light here. I love the mention of light in your name, which is what you are doing in all the lives, spreading your light. So she's an
Thank you.
award-winning hypnotherapist, friends. She's an hypnosis instructor, healer, peak performance coach, and founder of Enlightened Living Hypnosis Academy. She is the author of two books, How to Enhance Your Peak Performance Methods and the essential for success system, which is what my major theme of today's interview to know more about how this system evolved and everything. Her proprietary system with a 90% success rate, which is not a joke, Randy, to have it. It's that too consistently. When we are able to produce that result, then we can come up with this percentage as excellent. With a 90% success rate, can be used with every client issues like anxiety, depression, insomnia, chronic pain, maybe you name anything like relationship challenges, weight loss, all that stuff. So Randy's life work combines 40 years of research, training, and life skills to provide sustainable wellness solutions for personal and professional improvement. Randy has a deeper desire, passion, and mission to awaken the consciousness of humanity and move us forward into love. That's an amazing, amazing mission you have, Randy. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity.
Oh, yeah. And I could tell we're very similar, and that's why we resonate so much. And that's important to you. I mean, I can just feel your heart. So it's really
Thank
just an
you.
honor and pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much. So very you might have been asked this same question again and again, Randy. I'm sorry for this redundant question. How did you get into hypnosis?
It's a fun question for me to answer because when I was getting trained to become a hypnotist, I all of a sudden it remembered that when I was a little girl on the camp bus, I would hypnotize people. And
Oh,
that, yeah, and I did not remember that. What happened was I was a single mom. I had like 10 jobs, and one of my jobs was a massage therapist.
okay.
And I just had a knack for that. But I had also been a gymnast growing up, hence why I am really into peak performance. But what started happening is it was be very difficult for me to start opening jars. I'd get an electric current, and so everything started hurting. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I need a new way of helping people heal that didn't require my body." And I looked in this magazine that I knew when I was in my early 20s, and it had a big giant advertisement where I could go and get 2 12-hour days of training in hypnosis for about the same price as I could go to this local guy for a session. So I opted for the 2 12-hour days and was so fascinated by it. And then I did another 2 12-hour days. But the thing is my where I live in Indiana in the US, there used to be very weird, unusual political laws. Those are all gone now. But so ended up having to do 500 classroom hours to become a
Oh,
hypnotist. My students only have to do about 150, but it
okay.
helped me be a confident hypnotist. So that's how I became a hypnotist. And then I did 500 classroom hours in Indiana too.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and how it all started. Okay. So, what inspired you to develop the essential force system, Randy? Because there are already so many methods, so many protocols, but there could be something that would have inspired you. So, please share the story behind it.
Yeah, it's an interesting question that why I didn't jump onto somebody else's protocol. All I know is I travel a lot and I present at conferences. I also taught myself. I remember going to my first hypnosis conference in Boston, and then I bought the package so I could listen to all the trainings and all the classes when I would be driving to my office and driving back. And that is how I learned so much. And then I'd go to these conferences and learn even more techniques, NLP techniques and systems and protocols. And eventually I started using all these different ones and really discovered that some of them were really had these profound, mind-blowingly effective, fast changes. And I started to continue to utilize them. And that is how I created the Essential Four. It was when I asked myself, well, okay, if my client's only going to invest in 4 sessions in themselves, right? Really, it's an investment in themselves. What can I do in those 4 sessions that will be the most powerful, the most transformational, give them the most? And that's how the Essential Four was born.
Okay. A silly question. Why not 5? Why not 6? Why these 4 things combined? Like, what are these 4 elements? What are these 4 things that are part of Essential 4 system? I think.
Great question. Great question. And sometimes I work with clients just more than 4 sessions,
Okay.
but
Okay.
these are like the core 4, because the first session, it builds confidence, it strengthens the ego, it reduces and literally melts the stress out of the body and helps my clients respond resourcefully to their world. And it
Okay.
does what I call a little bit of emotional clearing in a light and easy way. So
Mhm.
everybody has a great hypnotic experience. Now, this first session can be done with 1 person or 1,000 people, and it is so profound. I
Wow.
literally, that first session, even though it's a confidence building session, I've had fibromyalgia go into remission. I have people sleeping better. Amazing things take place from this first session. And what I discovered is this is a really, really profound place to start with your clients, because almost every single person gets incredible results from that first session. So now they're primed. We've built a foundation of confidence in themselves, confidence in the process. They've noticed results. And so now we've created fertile ground to start to do some of the deeper work,
Okay.
to do make sense? And so then the second session, if the client is ready,
Mhm.
and because what I've been doing lately is asking them and letting them know what regression is, the affect bridge regression technique. I do with my client if they're ready. And how I know if they're ready is I ask them if they promise to be there for their younger self. So if they didn't like how their younger self handled a situation, that okay, we understand that, but they have to be there for the younger self. The whole point of the Essential Four is to learn to love and accept yourself, you know, and that's the theme. And once you love and accept yourself, then you're going to be there for you, that no matter what mistake anybody made or somebody did to you and you took it personally. So now the second session, we get to I frame the affect bridge regression technique to get to the root cause of a dominant negative emotion, like our go-to emotion,
Hmm.
right? I'm not an angry person, but that was my go-to emotion. And I would feel anger, but most of the time more than I would feel guilty, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what your go-to negative emotion is, but we all have it, right?
Anger is mine as well. Let me be honest.
It doesn't mean we're angry people at all. Anger is a sense of unfairness, and I'm a Libra, and it means boundaries. Many times we're, cut through. So when we do that, and I include these things that I call hypnotic enhancers that really make the change, deepen the change, and make the change on the cellular level. And that includes a song during the affect bridge, and burping them. And
Okay.
so I know I brought that up to you.
Yeah.
I feel it's so important when we do inner child work to burp your client. So we do this on the first session. I mean, on the second session during the affect bridge, and the third session during timeline therapy, which I'll talk about in a second. But the burping, I know you're curious, and everybody's probably curious, and it's just an acronym. But if you can remember the burp part, you know what to do during any regression. And so it's not in any specific order, it's just remembering to do that. So B stands for beliefs. So you want to know what beliefs your client created, right?
Okay.
You as a right, because we remember these memories and we code these memories from the perspective of the age we are when the event takes place, right? So a 4-year-old's version of the world is very different than a 10-year-old, and your parents could have taken your siblings somewhere or cousins and they didn't take you, and you're 4 and you could decide right then and there something's wrong with you or they like them better than you, and that's the belief, the conclusion that gets drawn. So you want to know what belief they created so then you can change it to the truth. So B stands for beliefs, then there's emotions. E, so you want to know what emotions they're feeling, right? And they change, right? And in the memories. And then resources, that's what the R. B is beliefs, E emotions, R resources. So we want to give our client resources,
Okay.
strength, courage, confidence, a buddy, whatever they need, their angels, guides, whatever their resources, and even like download them. So whatever they think they need in that scene. So giving them resources. And then the P is taking positive learnings.
Okay. Okay.
That's the key, right? You want to take positive learnings. So during the second session, during inner child work, doing affect bridge regression, we're burping them. And then that's the second session. And then the third session, so now we've gotten to the root cause of a dominant negative emotion. Now we're going to get to the root cause of a dominant limiting belief. And
Okay.
that's where timeline therapy comes in.
Mm.
And have you done timeline therapy?
Timeline therapy was a small topic in my NLP training, but it wasn't like exclusive timeline practitioner or anything else. But it was taught to us like a basics. Yeah.
Yes. I've been teaching that a lot at the conference this year, last year at the conferences, and during presentations at chapter meetings and stuff. But so that's the third session of the Essential Four is timeline therapy, which has those two components. And one component is figuring out how you map and code your time, your memories, and see if there's a more resourceful or useful way to map and code memories. So that's one aspect. But the other aspect is getting to the root cause of a dominant limiting belief. You can use timeline for anything, getting to the root cause of even diseases, of pain, of anything, but it's disassociated. So the affect bridge was the second session. That's a feeling associated. You're in the memories. Of course, I would never want anyone to relive a traumatic memory. Almost all the time, even if it's not that traumatic or anything, we rescue and get that little you out of that situation. But with timeline, you're above it or over here looking at the memory from afar. You're disassociated, you're separated. So it's easier to get birthed. It's easier for you to take the positive learnings and things like that because you're looking at it from afar. Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even the first part, figuring out how you map and code your memories, because we all do this subconsciously, is so profound. So this is it's a total game changer. Each session can be a game changer. But then, so we've built the confidence, we've done the emotional clearing, and now people, many times, not always, are ready for forgiveness. And so I take them to the forgiveness fire, so they have an opportunity to forgive themselves or someone else or both, or even someone who's passed on. And it's very profound. The magic that takes place at the forgiveness fire. Oh my God. But that'll lead into your next question. So I can wait
Yes.
until you ask it. But
Yeah. Randi, since you have brought this forgiveness topic, I just wanted to ask you, maybe some people are not ready to forgive the other person, just in case of any abuse and certain things like someone was deceived or cheated on by their partners, etc. So, how far is it correct to enforce to forgive um, by the therapist to the client? So, how is forgiveness? What is the benefit? And do we need to give that space where the client has a choice?
I 100% agree that we need to give that space, that the client has a choice. When I take them to the forgiveness fire, first of all, I have to make sure they're ready and that's what they
Oh,
want.
okay.
And I frame it that they get, the forgiveness fire is a fire in a meadow, and it transcends all space and time, right? So what I tell the client, first I find out what the client believes, of what they think forgiveness is and what they think forgiveness does. And because we've done some of the work already, they're a little bit more prepared for forgiveness.
Okay.
Now, I and in the workbook, so all my clients get a workbook, right, a guidebook, a success manual to help them keep track of their learnings. There's a couple pages on forgiveness so they can start thinking about it. It's not and preparing for it, but I want to know what they think forgiveness is and what they think forgiveness does. Then they have an opportunity to invite the first most important person or people about 3 times. So the bad person and the perpetrator in their life may not show up. They may not be ready. But the miracles that take place at the forgiveness fire, and even if they don't want to forgive, we can still cut the cords and do the Ho'oponopono process and things. So almost all the time people need to forgive a part of themselves,
Okay.
and so I encourage that as well. But I did have a client that I worked with for many sessions, on and off over the years. I worked with his whole family, but his mother and brother like totally screwed him over. Like they fired him from the company, and I mean he had a breakdown as a result of it, and had not talked to his family for 8 years. And he got better, but the last thing he wanted to do was forgive them. So
Forgiveness.
when I took him to the forgiveness fire, his wife came, and some friends, different things. But then he came for something else, and he was like, "I need new friends," and blah blah blah. All I know is the friend he was talking about, that was borrowing like his tractor and different things, was like he was kind of upset with. And the guy was at his house after we did this. The guy was at his house returning this stuff. And he's like, "What's this?" So that when he came back, I mean, he was blown away. He's like, "I've been waiting years for this moment for him to say, maybe I need to go to the forgiveness fire and forgive my brother or mother." Like
Wow.
years waiting for that moment, right? I didn't, force that in any
Yeah.
way. He
It
had
has
to be
come
ready.
as a part of, as an outcome of healing.
As an outcome of healing. And
Yes.
okay, so Nizam, did I say it right? Nizam.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so here's the craziest, cooler even part. He had not talked to his brother in 8 years. He called a week later.
Okay.
And that happens over and over and over.
Wow. Wow. Excellent.
Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome, awesome. Because, thank you for clarifying that, Randy. A lot of people have that. The moment the word forgiveness comes, there is a resistance and there is a lot of things. So that's the reason I just wanted you to explain. And thank you for bringing up a case study so that people can relate to it much more. Thank you
And
very
it's the fourth session, not the first. Many
much.
people are not anywhere near
Yeah,
ready to do forgiveness on the first session.
exactly. Thank you. And Randy, you conduct past life regression, all that other set of training, and you also have a very systematic, structured, essential force system. So, how is the spiritual hypnosis different from clinical hypnosis?
In some ways, they're very similar,
Okay.
and in some ways, they're different. It depends. It's really the focus, right?
Mhm.
What your client's coming in for. So some people do call me and ask to do a past life regression. And so that is where we'll start. What I have discovered along the way, and many people that I've trained in the Essential Four all to do with other people, is that people have spiritual experiences
Oh,
Like
okay.
even from going through the essential four, they become more intuitive. The
Okay.
forgiveness fire, right? So when the person you're forgiving calls you and you haven't talked to them in years, which happens a lot, that's a spiritual experience. When your deceased sister shows up as your guide, that's a spiritual experience. And they get a guide during timeline. So I noticed that there's all these spiritual experiences happening during the essential four, but I can also then do specific processes that are considered spiritual, like the chakra induction, where I take them and we go in and we take them also to our higher self sanctuary, where you
Okay.
can communicate with your higher self or angels or guides and get information. I also I lead a spiritual hypnosis retreat, and I also have done workshops, intuitive activation and enhancement workshops.
Okay. Okay.
So just like the essential four is really a lot to do with emotional clearing, right? And healing in your history literally can resolve physical issues.
Okay.
Okay, so the essential four, even if you go through that process, you can become more intuitive and be able to listen to the information and connect with, because you've done the forgiveness work. There's less shit, excuse my language,
Yeah.
taking up space
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
head.
Required
And so you
sometimes.
can get it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So it's the focus, it's the choice. That's really the difference. They're very, very similar. They're intertwined, but it's what their focus is. So after I do the 4 sessions, I do like to do the specific parts therapy where I talk to their emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual self. I like to take them to their higher self sanctuary. If they're open to doing the chakra induction to their higher self sanctuary, I'll do that as well.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So you are catering to the different kind of people, the different kind of
Yes.
needs. Excellent. Yeah. And Randy, how is you have already touched upon this slightly, but could you please little bit elaborate on how is age regression different from timeline therapy?
So, and as I did mention earlier, so age regression, I mean, you can do age regression as a timeline therapy, right? You can go back in time uh, to a younger self. So age regression is going back in time to a younger self, period. So then if we break up, so how can the different ways to do age regression, you can do it where the affect bridge technique, where your subconscious can follow a feeling back in time to the source, to the root cause, to the first time you ever felt a feeling. So the subconscious can automatically do that, follow that feeling back in time. So, but like you can do age regression where you take the client back to in the womb or 1 years old, or you could start at 4 and take them through time to see if there was anything that happened to them when they were 4 or 5 that needs healing. So that would be another way to do age regression. When I do the affect bridge age regression, which isn't necessarily age regression, because the affect bridge can take people spontaneously back to another lifetime,
Okay.
right? So age regression isn't going to take you to another lifetime, but the affect bridge technique can take you back in time to another life, because that could be the root cause of the anger or the guilt or the pain. With timeline therapy, you're figuring out how they map and code their past, and then you're having them imagine themselves above their timeline and then you have them go back in time to the root cause, but you're above it. And that too can be this lifetime or another lifetime.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Did that all make sense?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Now I got the difference. Thank you. And This really surprised me, Randy. I was glad that I purchased this Essential for manual. So, what inspired you to write an Essential for manual and give it away to the other therapists instead of trademarking the Essential for system manual? And it is only people who are trained with you can use this system and all that, which I often see, like certain schools have that very strict that no one else can use their material unless they are trained. But here you have given away your manual writing and all that stuff, and with it's not ambiguous. Trust me, friends, whoever would read it, it is not at all ambiguous. It is very straightforward and easily implementable. So could you please tell about that, Randy?
Well, as you mentioned in my bio, I have a deep passion to raise the consciousness of humanity and move us forward into love, right? And I want people to utilize it because I get a 90% success rate, right? So and I have a master's in environmental education. So that's environmental but focus, but it was still very education oriented. So I love teaching and training, and I want people to utilize the Essential For. I want people, it gets such great results. I didn't make up affect bridge and I didn't make up timeline therapy, right? Those aren't, the first session, the fourth session, I gathered everything that I learned and put them into those. And, I'm always adding things to them, even though that first session is so long. I just wanted to get it out there and get people to utilize this because it is so powerful and effective and helpful for humanity.
Okay. Thank you for the beautiful gift for this field. Also, Randy, could you please tell me more about your peak performance coach certification? Will it help therapists to work with athletes and any other different people from sports?
So this is my cute little book, I made, and how to enhance your peak performance methods for outstanding results. Peak performance is a lot of different words. Like it can be for anything. In my version of the world, peak performance is the best version of yourself. But this book, but this book is in all the scripts, tips, and NLP techniques you need for private sessions and group trainings. So what happened with me is I realized that so many people, I don't know why a lot of hypnotists were tripped up with what to do for athletes and performers. First of all, I've always worked with kids, and that's when I started using a lot of the NLP techniques for athletes, young athletes. And when the swimmer that I had just worked with shaved off 2 seconds at the 50-meter swim at the state meet, I was like, wait, what? The diver who was scared to do her dives now got her best dive ever after one session and broke a school record, and the batter shaved off, or his batting average went from 300 to 700. I'm like, oh God, what is going on here? Right. And once again, when the results are there, I was like, okay, well, what am I doing? I got to figure out what I'm doing. And one of my favorite things about this book and the scripts and tips in the book is that there are a bunch of these experiential exercises, or should I say a handful of these experiential exercises that teach the mental toughness ideas that you're trying to teach them, like how your thoughts affect you, right? And mental, how effective mental rehearsal is. And the exercises do the teaching, so then you reinforce it with words. But when you have an experiential exercise that you can do with one person or 600, that demonstrates what you're trying to teach, it's like, yes. And does that make sense?
Yes.
So I knew people were craving this, the peak performance and what they could do with their athletes. And I've had some students say it's their Bible, right? That's their Bible when they work with. Now I've worked with individual athletes. I've also worked with teams, clubs, coaches. I've also led mental toughness training workshops for a variety of athletes. So some were baseball players, some were softball players, some were, volleyball players, all at the same time, right? Because they would just imagine their thing. How you prep it is very important. I think this book, how you set things up, also explains that. So you can get a lot of stuff from the book, but when you get training, we're just tipping, the iceberg, right? So people seem to want to feel more confident and want training. So you get training, you get certified, and they feel so much better when they have that and the knowledge and to go out there and do that, and then use this as a supplement instead. You get a curriculum no matter what training you do with me that has even more scripts and more detailed information, so you are ready to go out into the world and serve any age group and whatever you want to, and whatever club or type of. I've worked with high school wrestlers, I've worked with gymnasts, football players. I have a football player that plays, a couple of football players that play at Purdue right now. I have some baseball players that are in the, double A leagues. It's just been a fun journey.
Awesome. You have created so many resources for the fellow therapists. Thank you for all these gifts, Randy.
My pleasure. Now we
Yeah.
just got to get people to know about it, right? So they
Yes,
can utilize it.
exactly. Because like people want to do certain trainings, but they are not aware where to look for, and what is the information, what are the tools, because you have already tried and tested these tools, and now you have structured into a certification, which will be very easy for them to pick from there instead of doing the research. Yeah.
Yes, right here, ready to go. And I do the trainings in person, but I also have trainings online where I send you modules, and so you can just do it at your own pace and watch it again when you're really trying to understand something. And I usually offer to people when they do the online video training that you can come to any of that live training, for no extra cost. Yeah.
That's amazing. And here is my question. What are the different areas of life we can apply the essential force system, which you have touched at quite a bit, but still I wanted to ask that.
Yeah, well, I said and you said in the bio, it can pretty much be used for everything.
Everything.
Right now we have, I mean, literally everything. Now I did have, like, for example, I have a stroke victim that I'm working with. I didn't do the essential four with him, whether he needs it or not, because that's right now we're trying to get him, which, David Quigley's alchemical or somatic healing was really beneficial. But, if when I even have smokers come in, they're still smoke for a reason, right? Besides that, their subconscious and their teenage self is controlling them. Well, they many of them will say, oh, they need to reduce stress, right? They smoke just because it reduces their stress. Well, the essential four is going to help them reduce their stress in a completely different way using the power of their mind, and they won't have the stress because they'll look at it differently. So I like to use it for my smokers, but not all of them want to do the deeper work. And especially anxiety, depression, insomnia, chronic pain. Honestly, the essential four is great for those things. Weight loss, obviously. I love to do it with pretty much every single client that walks into my office. So, but there's so much anxiety right now, so many sleep issues, and people don't have to have sleep issues. This stuff, our work is amazing and helps people. I do the affect bridge, but a little bit differently when I do it for sleep. Sometimes I don't even have to do it for sleep because they're already sleeping better after the first set, like sleeping great after the first session, right? But I mean, I had a guy who had been through a major trauma, like 5 years before I bumped into him, and he lost a leg. There was a murder. There was so many awful things that happened, and he had been only sleeping 2 hours a night for
Okay.
5 years. And I worked with him doing the Essential Four during that first session, and he literally had 2 12-hour sleeps in front, in
Oh,
between the week. Yeah.
wow.
So what did we do? He'd been trying to do everything, and so there's so many. There's such magic, but the way I do it, the way I frame the sleep one is another one of those things that demonstrates to the client while they're in hypnosis that a change took place. That to me is so profound when you can do that. And that protocol, the way I do the affect bridge does that, but then with the sleep protocol, that Debbie Papadakis, a hypnotist from Canada, I learned that from her at one of the conferences, works incredible. It is written up in the Essential Four book as well. And we go deep into it in the training. But so it's just a little bit different. Other than that, it's pretty much the same for almost every client.
Wow. So the applications are very wide.
They're very wide.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Randy, does age regression re-traumatizes a person when visited into the old memories?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
there's always an exception to every rule, right? But I have hypnotized thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. And I pretty much do regression with every single one of them when they're ready. And they're almost always ready after that first session. And I've never had them, or I mean, okay, there could be 2 or 3 people that had a hard time after the session, but 99% of the people feel lighter, freer.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't want someone, as I mentioned earlier, to relive an experience. So I explain that very clearly to my clients. I set up the regression, the affect bridge regression, and I explain them about two different things that have happened. And one is I talk about that I had a client, I tell them I had a client that was depressed her entire adult life. And when I did regression with her to the root cause of her depression, she went back to when she was 17. And when she was 17, she was raped. Well, I would never want someone to relive a rape. That's not the purpose, at least
Yeah.
not in my version of the world. So you would rescue that little you, get that little you out of there, that younger you out of there. There's no need to go over that. But even just bringing a memory to conscious awareness that was stuffed down can release the stored emotion from the body. So with
Okay.
her, what was interesting with her, when she went back to when she was 17, she was really mad, and not at the perpetrator. She was mad at her 17-year-old self for going with that professor to see his new apartment.
Oh,
So
okay.
you see what I mean? So this was such a great opportunity for her. You didn't have anything to do with reliving that memory, but she drew a conclusion that she was stupid. And then so we had to help her to understand that she had had only 17 years of experience. It wasn't her fault. She's not stupid. And that releases those stored emotions from the body. You create a new belief, and a quantum healing can take place. And all the memories and subsequent memories linked to that event can be healed, reevaluated, updated, so she can move forward without all that baggage. And then next time she goes and gets into a negative state, goes to her dominant negative emotion, she doesn't bring all those memories into that moment subconsciously. And so she can get out of it much faster. So that's makes sense?
Yes.
Very different than reliving a trauma. Now, will people sometimes feel sad
Mhm.
because they saw their parent or they felt bad for their younger self? I mean, yes, of course, but usually I tell people moment by moment, as soon as they come out of hypnosis, they start feeling better and better. But to be there for themselves that day, however they feel, is fine. But 90, like I said, almost every single person feels lighter, freer. They created new beliefs. They look at the past with a new perspective, a new way of thinking with the positive learnings instead of the trauma. So it heals the trauma, it clears the trauma.
Thank you for clarifying that, because of so many misconceptions, many people are away from this beautiful tool. Thank you, Randy.
To me, you're
Yeah.
welcome. To me, it's the most powerful tool in the hypnotist toolbox.
Yes. And last question about your books. Could you please tell about what are the different books you have written about your workbooks, and how are they useful for the therapist?
Sure. Well, the books, if you're super intuitive and have had some training, and you can get these on Amazon. You can go and you can get them on my website. But the Essential Four is a success system. This is the 4 sessions. So this has all the tools. It's got outlines. It's got scripts. I don't encourage people to use scripts, but at first, I know people, hypnotists do, but you want to make it your own. But this has everything you need. But what's really cool is, like, when you get this book or when you do the training, either one, like let me show you here. So I call it the Essential Four. So
Basket.
it's like a basket, right?
Yeah.
It's a starter kit, right? So
Okay.
you need the happy pills. These are these great things to get people to laugh. You get 4 of the workbooks. So you can, I think it's so important for the clients to get a workbook. So if they're coming in for weight loss, I have a weight loss workbook, part of it, but so, like, you can get the rights to utilize all these things. There's my clients get a gift
Okay.
called it's interesting. It's
Enlightened
purple,
Light.
but it doesn't look purple.
Yes.
Enlightened Living with Randi Light. But you can get ones that just say Enlightened Living, and that is to help them to stop criticizing themselves, stop getting down on themselves. So it's a gift you give them while they're in hypnosis. It's a
Okay.
hypnotic enhancer. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so you can get this Essential Four starter kit that you can get, like, 4 workbooks to give to your first 4 clients. And I've made them so that they're blank on the back. So I have some that, that's all me, but then you can put your stuff on the back and
Okay.
give that to the client. So this, like, doesn't have my name on it, but it helps them reinforce everything. So you can get these books. These are the workbooks, or you can get, they're all on Amazon or on my website. The ideal thing is to get the trainings, which you can do online or in person, but you can just get the books too. That's fine. Or the starter kit. I have also, like, little, these are actually little USB, little cards that you can even purchase too. And you just stick it in, and it has all my hypnosis audios. So
Oh,
I
wow.
give my clients, hypnosis audio. So, like, this one has all of them on there, and
Yeah.
it's got for
Hypnosis,
weight loss, sleep.
confidence. Yeah. Insomnia,
Yeah.
healing your body. Wow.
Yep.
Beautifully
So
designed.
yes. So it's like ready to go in a box, right? It's ready to go in a basket. Yeah.
Yes.
Did
And
that
all
answer?
workbooks available in the ebook formats, or only the hard
Yes.
copy, or
No. Yeah. Sending to India is quite the experience, right? Mailing things to those places, you're going to pay more for the packet,
yeah,
than the book.
the book price. Yeah.
So they're all you have your choice of ebook or hard copy.
Oh,
So that's completely up to you.
wow, that's amazing. So, thank you very much, Randy. It was wonderful to know about your journey, and thanks for this beautiful gift called Essential for System. And also, you have, based on your experiences, you have created so many tools for the fellow therapists as well, so that this work can spread to many lives. So thank you very much. And it was wonderful to know you and to know your experience. So friends, I'm going to provide all the website links and social media links so that you can reach out to Randy in case you are interested to purchase these products or get training and all that. In the YouTube description, every detail will be provided. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So